So I'm going to start. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Bagby. You have been involved intimately in leadership positions in the American Muslim community for decades, and you have done a survey of the Muslim community, as was indicated in your opening remarks of your bio. How do you see an institution like Bayan fitting into the history of the American Muslim community?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. You know, I've been interested in the history of other religions and other immigrant groups. It's kind of part of my scholarship, my study. And one of the things that became clear to me as I looked at the Jewish experience, the Catholic experience, because of course we should all know and remember that the Catholics in, you know, the early part of the 1800s were not considered white, for one, and were not considered American. They couldn't be American, right? And many of them worshipped in their own languages, whatever those languages were. The same with the Jews. When the Jews came here at the turn of the century in the early 1900s, they were also viewed as a people that could not be American. So the whole question of relationship between, you know, these cultures and American society was a contentious issue, just as it is for us as a Muslim community. And I looked very closely at the Jewish Theological Seminary. And what you see in the history of the Catholics in this country and what you see in the history of Jews in this country, when they created their own seminaries and started producing their own religious leaders as opposed to importing them, their communities took off. If you read the Jewish Theological Seminary and kind of the thinking behind what they were trying to do, I mean, we could put a law and put Muslims instead of Jews, and it'd be so similar. So, for instance, they had a big Orthodox community, right? And they brought their ideas of what it meant to be Jewish and how to worship. They brought it and just planted it here. And so this seminary that wanted to honor the tradition, but wanted to recognize that they're now in America. And there has to be a translation, honest to the tradition, but also honest and faithful to the fact that we're now people of a new land. And when that happened, the community, because the community before that isolated the Catholics, when they were using their own languages, the Jews, when they were using their own language, they were isolated from America and troubled about what it meant to be here in this country. When their seminaries were created and they started producing their own leadership, it became very clear who they were, this combination of being faithful as Catholics, faithful as Jews, for us, faithful as Muslims, but at the same time comfortable in our skin as Americans. That's when the community really, you know, its roots went deep, and, you know, it became a real force in this country, transformed that community, and that's the power of that's the potential of what a seminary could be. It's time for us to establish a seminary and to start producing our own leaders.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bagby. You can give him a round of applause. That's all right. That was a good answer. All right.